While I wait for people to join, I'm just going to show you, I have a brand new course as of Wednesday, and it's here on descriptmastery.com. So, and it's not just the main course. The main course is like beginner to pro everything, and it includes a templates masterclass. So that's a standalone course that you can buy. But again, it's included in the Descript Mastery itself. And then there's a community included with the course. And then my tutoring calls, you can buy 1 call, 3 calls, or 5 calls. And this new platform will track your calls, so you can keep track of how many you've used and how many you have left as you go. Inside of the course, I'll just give you a brief preview of what it looks like in here. So there's a community section where you can leave Q&A, and you can see we got 15 members so far. And people have been leaving a lot of comments, which is great. And then there's the module, the bold part is the module, and then each of the lessons inside of it. And then there's a sub-module, which is this smaller heading here. And it's about 100 lessons total. I don't know what the total time is. It doesn't tell me, but I'm thinking it's probably about what the previous course was, which is about 6 hours in lessons. And then the templates masterclass is probably another hour or so. And yeah, and I'm going to add to it as I get more comments. A lot of people have been leaving comments on the lessons as they're going through. If they get stuck with something, then I'm able to hop in and clarify. And if I need to, I'll reshoot lessons. I'll update them as Descript updates, because it updates quite often. And you can find this on course.descriptmastery.com/course. I know it's I need to get a better URL, but that's what I got for now. And it's $250. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'm really excited about it. It's a big improvement from the previous course, so it's good. I'm happy with it. Okay, so let's dive right into Descript. And one thing I'm gonna say right off the bat, this is my first time using the web version in a live stream. And I've been using it a lot ever since the new version of Descript. I used to not recommend this version, but Descript themselves now recommend it. So I've been trying to get used to it, and I've been telling people to use it if their computer is slow. If your computer runs Descript slow, but you have decent internet, try out the web version and you might get better results. So today, and feel free, please leave questions in the chat. That helps give me stuff to talk about. But if I don't have questions, I'm just gonna start going into the Underlord, which is Descript's very awesome new feature here, new AI stuff. And I'm gonna show you actually, first of all, a way that I've been using it. So let me go back to my course real quick and show you something. So here's one of the lessons inside the course. And this whole thing right here, including this action item, was created with the help of Underlord. So what I did is I went to a video, like, which one was that? That's the very first one, getting the most out of this course. So if I go to that project, and you can see the web version, it's very snappy. It's loading everything right away. So here's that video, that first video in Descript. And at the end of every single lesson, I have an action item so that the student can practice the thing that I just taught. And so again, this is the very first lesson of the entire course. What I did for all 100 lessons is I went to Underlord, I went to summarize. Oh, and it doesn't have my prompt in there anymore, but I had a canned prompt that was like, please summarize this lesson, call out any steps, like put steps into bullet points, and then call out any action items. And then I gave it that format. So like make it bold and then say what the action item is. And so that saved me from having to write up this thing 90 times on all of my lessons, and saved me days of work or having to hire a VA to do that. So that was my first experience, like heavy duty using that. As always, my favorite AI feature is this one right here, add chapters. I always use that when I'm porting over to YouTube. If you don't know, it'll divide up your video into chapters. So this last one I did 50 on, not this video, but the one that I released a couple of days ago, which was, where is it? Mega course. So this was literally a drop of my entire old course. And I chopped it up into 50 chapters. And then those chapters, so you can see this is a 3.5 hour video. Those chapters become these markers also is what they're called. And so then rather than watching a 3.5 hour video, which isn't relevant to anyone, they can skip around, the viewer can skip around to just those parts that are relevant. And then when you go to publish it, if you go to YouTube, and you can't publish when the composition's over 3 hours, by the way. Probably not a common situation for most people, but that is a limitation. So those chapters, those markers become timestamps. And when you put this into YouTube, these become the clickable chapters so the viewer can just skip around in that video. So that's the feature I always use, is that add chapters feature. And maybe I'll play around with this since it's so long. There's a lot we can do with it. So I'm just gonna duplicate it and then work on it in there. And so we can do, and maybe I'll make it like small so it's not taking up a bunch of space. Right now it's in HD 1080, but I'll just drop it down to 720. And then, so we could do edit for clarity, and this is probably gonna find a bunch of stuff because it's such a long video. Edit for clarity, if you don't know, we'll find filler words. It'll remove gaps, so silent areas, which actually is not something that I wanna do for this particular video because there's times where I'm demonstrating things in the software, things are loading, and I don't want it to cut out those gaps. But then once it's done looking through everything, and look at how crazy fast that was. I mean, that just went through 3.5 hours of content in a few minutes. And so it crosses out the proposed changes that are either retakes, filler words, whatever. And then I could apply edits to script. I could follow up with more prompts, or I could copy it to a new composition, the edited version, but I'm not gonna do any of those for right now because those aren't the changes I want to make. And then each of those features from Edit for Clarity can be broken down further. Like there's remove filler words, which is just the filler word removal. It'll find uhs, ums, repeated words. You can tell it what to look for. Remove retakes, which is if you're filming a video and you just film it without stopping it. You just, like, let's say you say a sentence, you said it wrong, and then you repeat it without stopping your camera. It'll find those bad takes, identify them, and propose that you remove them. It'll do an ignore on those, and then you can choose whether or not to remove those, if it's a good edit or not. There's shorten word gaps, which is where it's looking for parts without recognized spoken words, and then it'll cut those. And then add chapters I already talked about. So each of these, the big difference with the conversion to Underlord is that each of these are more focused tools. Before, everything was kind of just a canned ChatGPT prompt. So if you clicked on something like Edit for Clarity, it would put this, something similar to this, what it says right here, remove filler words, digressions, blather, into what was essentially a ChatGPT prompt, but you could change it. You could just type in plain text, whatever you want it to be. Now it's just a canned thing, and the only thing you can do is hit submit. That said, as you saw, when I hit submit, it gives me a chance to do a follow-up, which I can refine that prompt. I can say, give me less, or do the same thing, but don't get rid of the word gaps. Or, you could just refine it like that. So let's see what it comes up with here. And they have like funny stuff here when it's loading. Hope the AI is this slow when it tries to take over the world, it says. So it's like little funny stuff while it's loading. Oh, and that didn't work. Through an error. Worked the first time. Let's see what goes on this time. And you could stop it in the middle of its process if you want. There it is. So right here, this follow-up button. So if you click that, then you get an opportunity to just prompt it in plain English. And you could say, find fewer filler words, find whatever you want. And then you could copy that whole thing if you wanted, put it into another project or another composition. So that's the sound good area. And there is also, actually at the very top, there is a part where you could prompt it in plain English. You could, if there's something not in there that you want it to do, then you could prompt it and it'll do its best to answer you. Of course, within the limits of what ChatGPT can do, which, by the way, I saw a video today that Descript has a new feature coming out in beta. You can sign up for it through their Discord community, where it'll do regenerate of video. So if you're not familiar, you can do regenerate right now, where if there's a word, like, let's just pick a random word out of my transcript here. Like, let's say the word efforts. I kind of say it quietly. Most of their development, like I just kind of like slur it or something. I can do replace and then regenerate, and it'll fix it using an AI version of my voice. But the problem is, or if I did an overdub in that case, if I somehow fixed it with AI, the video wouldn't match up with what the words say. But the new thing that they're demoing, that they beta today, is it'll regenerate the video, which is crazy. So they showed a video where the guy was saying, I like green apples, they're my favorite type of orange, or something like that. And then they did the regenerate with video and fixed it to where it said, I like green apples, they're my favorite type of apple. And the video worked. So super impressive, and I think that's coming in the next couple months. And I've been saying this for a while, ever since I saw Sora. My first thought was like, Descript's gonna be the first tool to get Sora integrated, because Descript has close ties with OpenAI. Anyways, that's a little tangent there. The look good section. So eye contact is, I've demoed this at length in other videos on this channel. And it does a decent job. In this scenario, it'll probably do a pretty good job. The gist of my experiments with eye contact, if you haven't seen that video, is that if you're about arm's length away, it does great. If you start getting more than arm's length away, it falls apart and it starts making your eyes like really buggy and weird. But they do say that it's in beta, so it's not like they're still actively developing it, for whatever that's worth. But let's just see how that looks.
web.descript.com. And I should start.
Let me just back up a couple frames. So there I'm looking down. Let's just turn eye contact on. Yeah, that works. That works pretty good right there. If you're looking closely, it's definitely like not natural. There's definitely some weirdness to it, but it does a pretty good job. And if you're very obviously reading a script and you fix it with eye contact, that can help. Okay, so back to Underlord. Center active speaker. This one I actually have not used yet, so this will be my first time. We can try this one out together, and I think I would need something more like portrait mode to demo this well. Or let me think about this. I'll come back to that, because I'll need the right thing to try it on. I'm already center here, so it's not going to work great. The one time I tried to apply it, I got an error, so that's why I haven't had a chance to use it. Green screen works very well. I use green screen all the time. If I scroll the entire rest of this video, right here, that's with green screen applied. If I go to green screen, I toggle that off. There I am, standing right where I am right now. So yeah, green screen's great. And that is under Underlord. Or everything, all the properties that you can apply to a particular layer well, first of all, you got the menu that pops up right over it. So you could go to effects, and then you could select green screen there. But when you click on the effects or the animations button, it takes you to this layer property. And then this is where all your properties are. And as opposed to the scene properties, because this used to all kind of be consolidated into one view. So that's kind of still throwing me off a little bit. I'm still getting used to that. The delineation between scene and layer. And then inside of scene, you can adjust your layer orders. You can also go to layer, hit this back button and adjust layer orders there. Or the on canvas way of just clicking layer order and then changing it like that. All of those work. And then, got a question in the chat. Can you say more about ducking, please? I don't know what that means. Yeah, so let's talk about ducking. Thank you for the question. Ducking is great if you're using background music. So let me just copy a scene out of this. Let me just do copy layout. I'm gonna create a new composition. I'm gonna paste it in here. And then I'm gonna add some music to this. So I'm gonna go down to music. Music and media are down here now. And I'm gonna add some music. And it's importing. And the layout, of course, the timeline looks different. You can now scroll up and down through it, and it's a little bigger, it's a little easier to see. So there's our music layer, and right now it's, if I go to layer, it's at 0 decibels.
One really cool thing about Descript is it includes a lot of stock media with it on all.
So that's what it sounds like, and it's drowning out my voice. So what I can do is I could click on my script layer, my most important layer where I'm speaking, and go to audio effects when it's selected, click on the plus button, go to dynamics, and then go to ducking. And if I apply ducking to this layer, it's gonna affect all the other layers. So ducking won't change the layer you apply it to, it applies to all the layers above the layer you applied it to. And then the setting here is ducking is currently set to 10%. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna lower all the other tracks other than this one to 10% of its volume. So here's what it sounds like now.
One really cool thing about Descript is it includes,
and I don't know if you can hear that through the stream, but it's now nice and soft, it's background music, and that's actually probably a perfect level right there. So ducking is an alternative to clicking on the music layer itself and lowering the volume. So I could lower this to like -20, -25, but the good thing about ducking too is, let's say I have another scene here, like an outro, and I stop talking for the last 5 seconds, and then my outro plays. The ducking will only is in effect when there's speaking happening. So as soon as I stop speaking, the music is gonna gradually fade up to full volume. And yeah, here's how it sounds. Hopefully you can hear it through the...
and to get there, we go to...
So that's what's cool is, like, if you have parts where you stop speaking, then you can have the music just fade up, get loud, and then it'll drop down again as soon as you start speaking again. So ducking is really cool. Really nice feature. And then the problem with ducking is it will also apply to sound effects. So if I had sound effects on there that I'd already tuned in the volume level, like I use the whoosh sound a lot, or like coins jingling, things like that, it'll also lower those. And then once it lowers that, it might throw it off, might not be able to hear that background sound. So yeah, pluses and minuses for the different methods. Yeah, it's perfect for intros. Like if I had a scene at the beginning here, and then I move my music layer to the front, it'll be loud at the beginning.
One really cool thing about Descript is,
and then it fades out to like 10% of its volume once I start speaking. So yeah, it's great for that. The other way to do that manually would be to use volume keyframes. So if you right click and you add volume keyframes, let me get rid of ducking, and feel free to chime in with more questions. I love that question. I'm gonna turn ducking off, and then I'm gonna show you the way that you could do this manually. So this is currently at 0 decibels, it's at full volume. And then like a second before I start speaking, I could right click add volume keyframe, and now there's that little white dot right there. And then like a second into me starting to speak, I could add another one, add volume keyframe, taking that second dot and drag it down, and that's gonna lower my volume as it goes into my speaking section. So that's the manual way to do it, but ducking does it automatically. Okay, so good question. Back to Underlord. I talked about the green screen. Multicam is the same as what used to be called active speaker. And if you apply this to a sequence, it'll only work on a sequence where there's two speakers, at least two speakers, or two microphones. It doesn't have to be two speakers necessarily, but multiple layers overlapping each other in sync. Then it'll identify the active speaker and it'll make a scene out of the whole video, and then it'll make full screen the person who's currently speaking. So that's a super, super handy thing for like long podcasts. I get questions all the time from people who recorded podcasts using Zoom or some other, just on one camera, one track, and it won't work if it's all on one track. It has to be separate tracks and separate microphones and or separate cameras. And the easiest way is Squadcast, because Squadcast, there's just an edit in Descript button that'll send your project and all of the guests straight into Descript in a sequence already. And then all you have to do is hit automatic multicam and it'll chop it up into scenes and display the currently speaking person. And then generate an image. This was broken when I demoed it a couple weeks ago, but it's working. It worked as of like a week ago. Let's try hand-drawn image of a spaceship. I find that the hand-drawn, if you say hand-drawn, it does a good job. If you say like photorealistic or something, I find that the results vary. Digital art tends to have pretty good results. 3D art, there's certain like keywords or styles that I find have better results than others. Hand-drawn image of a spaceship. Oh, that's kind of cool. And then these are usable images. So if I click on it, it just adds it to the current scene. Oh, and what's going on there? It says network error. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, question in the chat about editing out a smoke detector beeping. So, have you tried Studio Sound? Because Studio Sound is the feature you're looking for. It's depends on a lot of factors, how your results might vary. If it's like, if the smoke detector is going throughout the whole thing, or if it's just intermittent, or Studio Sound is what you're looking for, and I can talk about that real quick. So maybe I can simulate this actually. Let me add a sound effect. Music, sound effects, smoke alarm. I'll do this first one. I'm gonna add that, and then let me just shift some stuff around here. All right, there it is. Let me loop this. So right now it's playing once and it's only about 3 seconds long. But if I click on this and I click loop, it'll fill that entire rest of the project. And then, so here's what it sounds like. One really cool thing about Descript is it includes, and it's way too loud. And actually, you know what I'm gonna need to do? This won't work perfectly because I'm gonna have to make a sequence out of this. So this is a little bit more advanced than you need to know, but in a second I'll get to Studio Sound. So I'm gonna make a new sequence. I'm gonna say add media, and oh, there's gonna be 3.5 hours of content in here. Hang on, let me just add something short. I'll add this, add new track, and then I'm gonna do new track, add media. I'm gonna do stock media. What was that one called? Smoke alarm? There it is. Add new track. And then, this still isn't gonna be perfect because Why can't I see anything? What's going on here? Because that smoke track is only gonna play for 2 seconds. It's not letting me navigate around. It's glitching out. Hang on, let me close it and reopen it. So what I'm trying to do is put the smoke track on the track that I'm speaking so that when I apply studio sound, it'll apply to that smoke detector and cancel it out. Oh, page unresponsive. That was the problem. Let's try waiting, refreshing. Technical difficulties. Okay, we're back. Let's try sequences and then the one that I just created. One thing okay, there it is. Let me edit it again. I'm just gonna duplicate that a couple times. What would be the best way to do this? Well, I'll just demo it with that 2 second playing of it for a couple seconds there. Then I'm gonna go to a new composition. I'm gonna add that sequence. And again, sorry, I know this is kind of boring. I'm just trying to set up a scenario here. One thing you're gonna hear me say, okay. And you know what? This might not work how I'm thinking because, okay, no, it will. Studio sound's not applied yet. So if I apply studio sound and give this just a moment, oh my God, that was really fast. One thing you're gonna hear me say a lot, you hear that? It's gone. It worked. One thing you're gonna hear me, so your results may vary based on the quality of the microphone that the realtors were using, based on the volume of the smoke detector. And if studio sound doesn't do a good enough job, there's other tools that you could try. But I'd recommend try that right now. She's just using her iPhone. So try applying studio sound to your track. And sorry, let me walk through that. So the actual application process. So you have your video in Descript, click on it, come over here to audio effects and then toggle on studio sound. And that's it. Play it, see if once it's done applying, see how it sounds. If that fixed the issue without ruining her voice, because sometimes it's too strong, too intense, then you're good to go. But if it did ruin the quality of her voice, you can change the intensity of it. It defaults to 100%, but you can lower it anywhere between 0 and 100. So that's it with studio sound. The other thing that I mentioned you could try is there's another tool called Alphonic right here that's free to use. You can put up to 2 hours of content in it per month. And the reason I use Alphonic sometimes is, first of all, sometimes it's just better than studio sound, but it's also better if you have background music, because background music will get removed by studio sound. Studio sound's like blanket, just remove everything. Alphonic's a little better at picking up things that are like supposed to be in there. And you can choose, I actually have a video, a lesson I did on Alphonic. Let's try it. So you can choose voice cleaner, where you can keep music, or remove music. So you can explicitly tell it. Voice cleaner and remove breathing. Studio sound doesn't offer that. Adaptive leveler will keep noise, but just level the audio. So if there's parts where someone's like further away from their microphone and it gets quiet, then yeah, that's what that'll do. Then automatic chapter, summary, and transcript. Already saw that with Underlord. Cut filler words and silence. So there, actually, I think those bottom two are new in the last month or so. But so between those two, studio sound and Alphonic, you should be able to cut out the fire alarm to at least make it less annoying. Thank you for the question. So that was the look good section before I went into the studio sound there. Below that, there's repurpose. And repurpose is exactly what it sounds like, taking your long form content and then repurposing it for other platforms. So my pleasure, no problem. Thanks for the question. So you can create clips. So like if I take my long freaking 3.5 hour thing here and I say create clips, number of clips defaults to, or I don't know if these are defaults anymore. I've already changed stuff in here, but 5 clips, 30 seconds, you can set the time. And then here is what's cool about this feature now that we didn't have a couple weeks ago. You can default it into a layout. So it'll automatically take those 5 clips, put it into a layout with, like in this case, there's a two camera interview, 3 camera interview. It adds a little border around it, certain style of caption. And you can, so those are pre-built ones. You can also browse your templates and use one that you've made and then just, yeah, like so easy. So I'll just click on one of these and show you how this works. And then you could also tell it if there's like something specific you want it to look for. And then I'll hit submit. Actually, this is a really good idea. I should actually use this and publish some of these. I have 0 shorts on this channel and I'd like to try. I've done shorts for other channels, but not the Descript one. And we got the loading bar. Underlord is thinking. For intros and outros, do you create a template and just copy and paste the intro outro template for every video? Yeah, so, large project notification, consider splitting into multiple projects. I think I'm stressing it out with that long project. So, question in the chat, for intros, outros, do you create a template and just copy and paste the intro, outro template for every video? Dang it, got interrupted again, it's done. So here's what it came up with. So it came up with a title. It tells you how long they are. And here's what's interesting. It tells you that it gives this like a 4-star like of quality. And then you could change the layout once again here by clicking on that. Or click on it to go in to see what it came up with. And if I look at my compositions, it created a folder, and here's 5 clips that it came up with, and it put them into their own compositions. And then here's what the clip
I always recommend that you use ignore. It's just a better, cleaner way to edit. So when you select a word,
that's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, so got distracted there. For intros, outros, creating a template. Yes, I do create a template. And if I go back, go to my templates, go to, how did all these get in here? That was weird. I had all the stock templates in there that was like Descript stock templates, but they're not, I don't even know how I got that view. So you have your drive view and your private view. And when I first opened it up, there was the gallery view, which isn't even an option. So that was weird. Anyways, if I go to my drive, I go to Descript Mastery, and I have these templates available for, yes, question in the chat, will this live be saved? Yeah, it's, as soon as it's over, it just goes up on my YouTube channel under the live tab, and then you can watch it at any point. So the intro, I have intro titles, for example. So I created a little animation where it's like that rectangle's dropping down. And then I have one where it just fades in from the side. And then here's my newest one with my new logo. And it's transparent, so it's just a black background, but it's just an animation that slides out. So the way it works, Billy Bob, is you create this template, and then you do publish, and then once you publish it, templates folder, and you can apply it to any project. If you want me to go deeper into that, let me know. I go live every Friday at this time at 12:30 Pacific time. So yeah, I do this, and yeah. So okay, he asked if you apply the scene in the template. So this is 4 scenes. which means it's 4 templates. So I'll show you how that looks when you go to apply it. If I go back to my projects, go back to the course thing, I'm really impressed with how fast, like this is a 3.5 hour project and it opens instantly. So I'm gonna have to change my recommendation to, oh, and that doesn't look good. There we go. Have to change my recommendation to using the web version because this is good. Yes, so with that 4 scenes in that template, when I go to apply it, let me just create a blank scene. And then I go to scene to apply templates. There's this thing that says choose template. I click on that. I go to drive. This is the one that I was in. Each one of these previews here are folders. So if I click on one of these, it opens up the rest of the templates that are inside of that folder called Descript Mastery. And then I have the ones that I just showed you was intro title. And then, so each of those 4 scenes was one of these. So this was the first one that's called intro title. This was the second one. Oops, I just applied it. Let me scroll back down. Sorry, I know this is kind of confusing. And there's no, for some reason, this particular template is broken. You should be able to see the previews, but for some reason, this one, it doesn't show the previews. I think because it's so big. But so there's scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, and then scene 4 was my new one. So each one of those scenes becomes its own template. And if I click on one of these, it's applying it. So let's just give it a moment. And actually, there it is. So yeah, it applied that scene. This is an excuse for me to talk about on my new course. If I go back, I have just yesterday, I released the templates masterclass. So this class is available for sale and it's like introduction to templates, how to get the most out of the course. The different types of templates. There's 4 different ways that you can make templates in Descript. And then the nuances and troubleshooting templates if you have issues with templates. And then some ideas for creating your own templates like YouTube intros and outros, things like that. And this is a $50 product that I could link if you're interested. But I also have free templates. So if you go to, let me show you some of my free templates that you can download. Where do I even have those? I just changed a bunch of stuff with all the new course infrastructure. So the templates are now on a different page than they used to be. Actually, you know what? The old page has descriptmastery.com. So this is descriptmastery.com. And if you click on this thing that says get free templates, then if you sign up here, it'll send you a bunch of templates, links to download those templates to your email, including the Descript Mastery one I just showed you, which I know those aren't useful to you because it's my logo and everything, but well, some of them might be like these arrows, you could use those, but I use templates as starting points. So in my new course, if I go to my new course, it's completely made with just 3 templates. So there's my webcam view.
Hashtag sign.
Oh no, that's for anytime I call it a hotkey.
In the next lesson,
So there's this view when I'm introducing a module with like logo, module name, and then me. And then there's an action item. So every time I tell the student to do something, this pops up. And I'll show you how I made this. I based this off of one of Descript's stock templates. So if I just create a new composition and I go to scene, and then I go to gallery, down at the very bottom is titles, and I think it's, yeah, this one right here. So there it is. So I literally took these 4 lines, these animations, didn't change them, changed the font and the color, changed the background color so that it's white, and made the text black, and then added my logo, added action item across the top, and that's it. So what I'm saying is use these templates as a starting point. You can download somebody else's templates and then tweak them to your own with your own colors, your own fonts, your own branding, and then use them. And the templates are just like, if you're making a lot of the same stuff, it'll save you so much time. It's so crucial. And they are tricky though. They are very, very challenging to get right. And I'm getting an error message. I don't know if you're still able to see me. If you're making a lot of this, I don't know if I'm still live. I just got an error message on the YouTube live stream, but I'll keep going as if I am. And feel free to keep the comments coming. Otherwise I can keep talking about templates or whatever you want. I'm just gonna delete that. And yeah, and again, here's the one that I made based off of that, or which one was it? Action item. So I added a little sound effect, that little bell. Oh, perfect. Thanks for letting me know. I added a little action item, so that little tiny subtle bell rings, and then, yeah, and then everything just kind of fades up. And then obviously I just changed the line to like whatever the action item for that specific lesson was, and then the student knows what to do. Cool. What else? Any other questions? If not, I'll go back to Underlord. So that was applying an intro template. Did I answer the... Okay, yeah. So that was repurposed. Oh, here's what's super cool. This translate captions thing. I think this is really cool. And this is the start of something very exciting, very powerful that's coming to Descript, because along with that regenerate video beta that I told you about earlier, you can also translate it to another language. So in that same video, they showed the guy turning his English video into French, just using AI. It's crazy. And so with this translate captions thing, you can take your whole video, choose one of 23 languages. Like I could go to Spanish, say submit, and look at that. It's like, well, it's really short, but it's like instant. And then it translated it to Spanish. One really cool thing about Descript, it doesn't translate the audio yet, but like I said, that's coming. It's in the pipeline. And once you have translated it into another language, this thing pops up at the top, and then you can switch to any of the languages you've translated to, and you could export the transcript right there. You could delete it, could copy a link to it, or you could regenerate it. So it's crazy. Like, this is so powerful for, you're not limited to just the speakers of your language anymore. Now we're in Dutch. Look at that. I've never learned a word of Dutch, but I could appeal to a Dutch audience maybe. So yeah, check that out. And then also when you go to publish, right here, you can change the languages that you've already translated it to. I wish there was like a translate all where you could just like get 23 transcripts in different languages all at once, but not a feature yet. Maybe it's coming. Find highlights, create highlight reel. These are similar to the create clips. It'll find key moments in the video or podcast for you. The highlight reel, this will create a reel of the best moments that it finds. And so a question in the chat is, reaction videos have a video within a video. What would be the most simple, common way to do these within Descript? So the simplest way would be to use the quick recorder. And the quick recorder, if you don't know, is if you have a Mac, I'm not sure what it looks like on a Windows. On a Mac, there's a D logo at the top of your computer bar, And if you click on, I'll click on it right now, it'll be out of the window so you won't see the whole thing, but it's now open. And then it pulls up this, and you can float this around the screen, and you can, oh, I don't know if you can see this on the live stream. Okay, yeah, it's there. So then you can resize this, and you could, let's say you're playing a YouTube video on your browser, you could just put this anywhere you want. You could change it to a square, drop it down in the corner, back to a circle, make it big. And then, let me see if you can do, yeah, it's just square. You can't do like a rectangle. But then you could play your video, and then you would be right here speaking. They'd see your face, and then you could choose your microphone. You could choose which display to choose. You could choose your webcam, all the normal stuff you get with screen recording. And then I would do, instead of record and share, do record and edit, and then you can take it from there. But the thing to point out, if you're not familiar with the difference between Quick Recorder, which is what I'm showing you right now, and the normal recorder inside of Descript, the Quick Recorder will record it as one layer. So if I have a YouTube video right here and my video is over it or something, I can't move this in post. I can't move it when I'm editing. It's all just one layer. If I start the recorder the normal way from Descript using this button right here, then it's gonna record 2 or more layers, and I can tweak those layers individually like I did right here, where I could drag this around the screen. I could, do whatever I want with this. I could turn green screen off, stuff like that. So to answer your question, the Quick Recorder is the simplest way. The better, more recommended way would be to set it up from the built-in recorder here. Yeah, it's a little tricky. And if you're on a Mac, there's also a cool thing. This built-in recorder in the new macOS Sonoma. You can do some cool stuff with that, and then just use the Descript recorder. But I won't go into that right now. I think that's plenty to get you started. Yeah, reaction videos. And then you can make a template for it. If you use the built-in recorder, like this could be a reaction video right here. If I'd been playing a YouTube video, I could apply this template and it would work. It would move me into the corner, and I could have made this template where I'm bigger, for example. It's loading like that. And then, and that could be like a solid reaction video template. But probably you'd want something more like this, like half and half or something. And then, oops, I'm in crop mode. And then I could move this layer forward. And then, yeah, you could do something like like that for a reaction video. And there might even be some new templates, built-in templates that would be useful for you. Let me see. Actually, that gives me a template idea. I should make some reaction templates. A lot of these are presentation, so they have the same set of stuff. Like there's a welcome title video, title template, section, subsection, a single speaker, multicam, screen recording. So this would kind of be what you're looking for with a reaction video type of thing. That's too small. Could do something like this where you're cropped in a bit and then the video you're reacting to is on the other side. Another cool thing would be to make it animated where you the video you're showing is full screen, and then you pause it, it switches to you, maybe with an animation, and then you give your reaction, your commentary on what just happened, and then it switches back. Or right here too, this one would work. Speaker in the bottom right in a circle, and then video in the back. Yeah, that looks like that's pretty much it. They're kind of the same stuff with different styles. I think this one looks kind of cool. It's like deserty, orange. So, and there's some social media ones. What did I just see? Real estate. For my real estate person in the chat, you could maybe get something useful out of here. 2 photos, dim, captions. That's cool. Yeah, if in lieu of questions, if I don't have anything in the chat, I might just make a template for a reaction video live and add that to my free thing, my free downloadables. Which, by the way, I'll put that in the chat if anyone's interested. So this page, it does ask for an email, and then it'll send you links to a bunch of different styles of captions I have. Okay, so let's do reaction videos. So let's do some landscape, let's do some portrait, and how do I want to do this? Let's say that one video, I'm gonna start by adding a video, just a stock video, it doesn't matter what it is. The difficult thing about templates is they apply exactly as you create them. So what I mean by that is when I add this video, it's going to be not in my script. And so if I were to save it like that and apply it like that, it would just add this video to your project. So to make it a video where it'll actually affect your script layer, I have to put it into the script in the template. I feel like I'm not explaining that well, but let me just do it and maybe it'll make sense. Let's see here. There was an error. So a couple stability issues that we've seen throughout the day here with the web version, but not completely unworkable by any means. And it seems to like fail once and then I try it again and it works. So I don't know, maybe it's my internet connection. Maybe it's the fact that I'm streaming right now. Error loading media. Let me try another one. And so I'm assuming you probably have a way to, well, you don't even need to download YouTube videos. I'm assuming you're reacting to YouTube videos, but for this to work, you would need to do a screen recording of the YouTube video you're reacting to, which actually is how I should be making this template. So that would be a smarter way to be making this. Let me do that. So let's do FaceTime and screen sharing. Turn it on. Where's Descript? Maybe I can't do the one I'm in. Let me open up a YouTube video and then we'll go from there. So if I go to my channel and I go to one of these features like that, and then I say record entire Descript course, share. Okay, so here's what it looks like. And it's got that whole background, the video there, and then it's me. I'll hit record in Descript. This is my template for a reaction video. Testing, testing, testing. I'll just make it like 10 seconds long and I'll hit stop. And then let's give this a second to process. Did it work? I think it failed. I think the recording didn't work. It should have generated a sequence with my video, my screen. Okay, so the web version's not perfect for everything. But what I was trying to do there was create a screen recording that I was then going to tweak and then save it as a template. And then you could just save that or apply that template to the screen recording you do when you're actually making your reaction videos. And then that's all you'd have to do. That could be all the editing for the entire project. Run it through filler word removal and you're done. Apply studio sound. Yeah, it just depends what you're trying to the production quality you're trying to get out of it. Okay, back to Underlord. And if there's any more questions, please keep them coming. In the publish section, we have draft the title. And so this will look at your whole course. And let's see what it comes up with actually for the full thing. This will be interesting. And let me go off my copy here rather than the full one. I don't want to mess it up. Draft the title. And you could give it examples, like you could prompt it to a tone, like say something clever, something funny, something professional, and it'll do that. Custom instructions, if there's like a certain keyword you want to implement in there or anything like that, you could tell it there, and then hit submit. And it's probably going to take a while again because it's a beast of a project. And I think the title I used actually came off of here. I forget if I it's entire Descript course, learn everything in 3.5 hours. I might have taken it off of Underlord. I forget. I probably did because it uses that colon format where it's like Descript course 2024 colon everything you need to know. And then you could just copy one of those, copy your favorite one or get inspired by one. You're like, oh, I like that one, but I'm just going to take in the first half of this one and the second half of this one. And then you combine that into the title that you use on social media. And draft a title, summarize. This is the one that I used. If you were here at the beginning of the call, I was showing you how I used for a lot of the lessons in my course. If I like take one, for example, this summary and the action steps were generated using the summarize functionality with some proofreading, of course. I read over it and some things like weren't relevant or it would switch. I told it to be in first person and sometimes it would switch to third person and stuff like that I just had to like tweak it to get the prompt right. Show notes. These are like for a podcast, the thing that shows up in your podcast player with timestamps and like links to advertisers, stuff like that. You put that in here. Oh, and that reminds me, one thing I did that was really, really cool with Summarizer was in a lot of my videos, because the first thing I did was record it. And then after everything was posted and published, that's when I did the summarize and added the text to the lessons. So rather than playing through all 90 videos to remember what I talked about and like, oh, did I mention a link? Did I mention a resource? I prompted it to say, if I mention a link, add in parentheses, insert link here, like that. And then that would literally show up in the summary. And then I was like, okay, I know I need to add a link here. And then I could just copy and paste the link that I mentioned into there without having to play back through 6 hours of content. So that was really cool. Just to give you ideas. Show notes, once again, this will generate, well, let me just run it and you'll see. It'll generate timestamps, it'll generate a summary, it'll generate keywords. So you'll be SEO optimized on whatever platform you post your Spotify or your podcast to. Maybe that's Spotify. Here it is. This comprehensive video tutorial covers everything you need to know, including a title too. It starts with a title, goes into the summary, and then goes into the timestamps. So that was show notes. The YouTube description It's very similar. I think the backend prompts are probably very, very similar for show notes and YouTube description. So a question in the chat, is there any part of your workflow where you still have to do work outside of Descript? So here's the YouTube description, pretty much the same as the show notes. So my entire course, I purposely didn't go into anything else, with one exception. There's a section in the course that is about the recorder, which I just showed you. Showed you the recorder, that is. So right here, the recording in Descript section, I used another software called Camtasia, just because a recording of Descript can sometimes cause issues. So my entire course is built with Descript, including AI generations, everything. I sometimes go into, for other stuff, not my course, go into Alphonic, like I mentioned. If I want to keep background music or remove breathing, then Alphonic is a nice supplement. Oh, you know what I go into all the time though? Canva. I use Canva for everything. So you might recognize some of my thumbnails here. There is the course thing, my course cover right there, the modules for the course. And one thing I do use it for a lot is, here's a perfect example. Descript is super limited on animations. So for example, if I play this one right here, that typewriter effect, you can't do it in Descript. So I'll go into Canva for something like this, export it, and then import that video. And then that's how I can get a little bit more functionality. And what else? Doing like PowerPoints kind of stuff. My outro that you saw, that was right here, made with this. Transparent version of that. And then that was just an image made in Canva. So yeah, Canva's awesome. And then other than that though, I'm trying to think, I'm probably forgetting something, but typically not. I mean, you can also of course publish directly to YouTube. So I try to do as much as I can inside of Descript. And actually with Underlord's new capability, this replaced another tool that I was using. I was using something called Cast Magic. And Cast Magic, so I got like different channels over here. And then these are different videos that I put into Cast Magic. So here's one I did recently, and it transcribes it, which I never needed to use that anyways, because Descript does a good job. But then under AI content, it generates like a YouTube hook, longer details, YouTube tags. But I haven't used this ever since Underlord came out, because Underlord does, they're probably both using ChatGPT 4.0. So I haven't needed to actually come into Cast Magic since Underlord came out. So yeah, that's it. So, and Descript just keeps getting better and better and better. So it's like less and less reason to use other stuff. So in the chat, when I write captions for her home tours, I use Otter to capture her verbiage. Then I copy and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to write a. But if instead you put it into Descript, how to automatically transcribe it for you. And then yes, you could use one of these summarize tools. The show notes might not be the one you're looking for. Ask it to write a caption. If it's captions for social media, you're probably best off using I mean, they're very similar. Like I said, they're probably similar backends in terms of the prompt. Probably, I think summarize is the most customizable. So if it's just a caption for TikTok, for example, then I would probably just in here say, write a concise summary of 3 sentences or less about this topic, like something like that. And probably adding more, like be sure to call out key points about the home she's touring or something. And then it would probably come up with a pretty good caption for you. Yeah, so there's a fairly short one. And then the difference here is you don't have timestamp and you don't have a title, but it just depends where the final destination is for that caption. And actually, that's not the right use of the word caption. Captions are this right here. Captions are when it takes your video and adds like this karaoke effect or like this. That's a proper caption. The other thing I showed you would be the description. It depends on what platform it's on. I think in TikTok, I don't know TikTok well. In YouTube, it's called description, and that's the more notes that you can see with the video in both shorts and long form. So yeah, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for the questions. Last couple of weeks I've been talking to myself, so it's great when people can actually come and ask questions and guide these. And if there's anything else, I'm happy to keep going. We're already a little bit over time, but I'm having fun if you are. And I'll just show you the captions real quick because maybe this is what you're looking for. Where is the portrait one that I made? Well, this is fine. Well, I have captions there already, so that's an example of captions.
The really cool thing about Descript is it includes a lot of stock media with it on all plans, even on the free.
And so all I did was click on one of these and it's automatically transcribed. And so what it's doing is just reading that transcription.
Really cool thing about Descript is it includes a lot of stock media.
Like so. And to answer your question, Billy, about other things for my workflow, captions are limited compared to CapCut. If you want to do some really crazy automated captions, check out CapCut. It's awesome for that. You can do like things where each word is like getting big. It's like zooming in and bouncing around and like kind of bopping up, and like a lot more flexibility than what you can do here. Yeah, CapCut's awesome. Yeah, super easy to use, super clean interface. It's great. And honestly, yeah, CapCut, it's free. it's totally free to use, so that's great. The last thing I can go into, and below YouTube description, by the way, there's draft a social post and draft a blog post. So that'll turn into like a 500 plus word article out of your topic. Below that though is brainstorm. So if you're starting from scratch, you could do like new composition, Underlord. And then you can see when there's no content in this composition, a lot of this stuff's grayed out. There's nothing for it to look through in the first place. But the very first thing you could do, if you're just like, I want to make something, but I don't know what to make, you could hit this brainstorm button and then hone your ideas by asking Underlord questions or letting it ask you. So you could say, I want to make a video about, insert your passion here, about tech, but I don't know what to talk about. Let's see what it comes up with. And I've come up with several ideas. This might be a glitch. I think it's supposed to be showing something right there, but let's try that again. There it is. Okay, so it said discuss tech trends like AI, blockchain, quantum computing, virtual reality, review the latest gadgets, show how technology is integrated. So anyways, it's giving me ideas. Pretty cool. I could have also told it, give it to me in list form. Hit submit. I think it didn't work again. Let's try that one more time. There it is. Nope. There it goes. Okay. Is that all? You gave me one idea. Okay. And I could say more. Oops. Can't type. More. There we go. Virtual reality, impact of 5G, how blockchain is changing finance. And then once you've brainstormed something, you could say write a script. And then you get a lot of options here. The length, the intended audience, the tone of the script, and the starting point. So if I, from that previous list that it suggested, I say virtual reality, I could add that. And then I could say, write it in the tone of MKBHD, who's a famous tech YouTuber, and custom instructions. And those are optional. The only one that you have to add is the starting point. Everything else is just coordinating instructions. And then it'll spit that out, and you could use that as your script. And you could also have it just write an outline. So you could say starting point, topic is virtual reality. That's all. I'll just give it that. The more specific and more context you can give it, the better the prompts will be. But in this case, I'm just demoing. So here it is. This could be, well, it's not really an outline. I was hoping it would give it to me in bullet points, but give me a bullet point outline. There we go. It's not working great. I always have to go back, hit submit again. Maybe I'm just being impatient. I don't know. I think it's not working. But when it's working, I think you get the idea. You could just have it write a bullet point list of things that you could then create a video about, or a podcast, or whatever you want. But that's it. We've gone through every single thing on this list. And last call for questions. Otherwise, I'll talk about, I pitched my free templates. If you come here, I left a link in the chat. You can sign up, and then you can get free the links to download those templates to your email. And you can use them however you want. You can use them as starting points to customize and change it to your brand, and then add them to your content. So do whatever you want with those. Oh, and then, okay, so what's the feature that lets you read a script? So I think you're talking about AI speakers, and this is where you can hit new speaker, and then you can label it, and then you have to read this, hit record, read this, send it, and then that trains the AI on your voice, and then you're good to go. And then you can use it in your projects. But I have to run, so I can talk about that another time. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. And I'll be back every Friday at 1:30 or 12:30 Pacific, whichever you prefer. Oh, and the last question, reading the script without eyes looking away. That's called eye contact. And you can find it in the Underlord. Okay, talk to you later.